All right, the AAA Madison Square Garden story.
Yeah, there's a lot in AAA. So yesterday they had a press conference for Triple Mania. So the main event is going to be a four-way mask match with Psycho Clown, El Hijo del Fantasma, L.A. Park, and Pentagon Jr.
So L.A. Park could headline Triple Mania and the CMLL anniversary show.
Within 3 weeks of each other. It's unheard of.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I think so. What does that tell you? That is Hall of Fame, right?
Who else could?
That's Hall of Fame, absolutely. Because you know, the fact is that Triple Mania. I mean, I don't know how they'll do because they didn't sell out. I don't think last year with Wagner and Psycho with a 1 year build, and so I don't know that they will this year, but they'll probably do. They did have a great gate, and they will have a great gate this year with L.A. Park. And L.A. Park and Roosh will probably do. I expect it to be a real big number. Because look, L.A. Park's drawn every week. L.A. Park did 9,000 people this last Friday night just for a regular show. So he's drawn. He's doing well. Everyone's doing well. But Mexico has changed. I mean, Phoenix was at the press conference, and he debuts on a Wednesday or Tuesday. Phoenix had a press conference on a Tuesday, and then on Wednesday he's on CMLL's. Their talk show. Friday, he's debuting at Arena Mexico for CMLL. He's working for Crash. He's working everywhere. And so here's the real interesting thing is at the press conference yesterday, Conan, of all people, this is the booker of AAA. Conan is explaining that these guys, they don't need us, and they don't need CMLL. He's talking about L.A. Park. He's talking about Pentagon. He's talking about Phoenix. They don't need us, so we can't dictate to them. They're big stars. It's like, God, I haven't talked to Conan since the press conference. So when I call him up, I am going to tell him that you need to be watching Stephanie McMahon, and you need to be going in public and going like, these guys need us, because without us, they would be broke gym teachers somewhere. And life ends when you leave our company. That's what you're supposed to say. He did not say it that way. He said that these guys are such big stars that, and they're going to be headlining Triple Mania. WWE brings guys in to do that too. But so they're doing that, and they do have a date booked in Madison Square Garden in September. I think this is a really bad idea. I just think I don't know that anyone should do Madison Square Garden. It's just so expensive. I think if New Japan did Madison Square Garden with the right match, I think they would sell out. But they'd have to jack the ticket prices up, and it'd just be better to do Barclays Center, or somewhere else. I mean, New York people will pay. The problem, New Yorkers will pay big money for tickets. I mean, UFC did a freaking $17 million gate in Madison Square Garden, I think it was. And I remember it was $1,000 tickets, and they sold that place out, and I don't even remember what the scalpers were getting. And that was a status thing because I was in New York that week, and I remember being on the train, and these women, there's this women who were early 20s, and they're just bragging that we got our tickets to the UFC. They cost $1,100. And it's like, so I kind of saw, and it was front page of the newspaper and everything. It's like, okay, this is a status thing. That's why they were able to charge so much tickets for the first show. AAA wrestling isn't going to be that. New Japan wrestling, the problem is it's not a New York audience that you draw with New Japan. It's a national audience. But I think once you have people once you're willing to fly into a show, the price of the tickets is usually not that big of a deal. I know the Cow Palace didn't do well, but the Cow Palace is not Madison Square Garden. I do believe if they went into Madison Square Garden, I believe they would sell out if they had a good card that they could announce in advance. In fact, I'm sure of it, really. I think All In, if they wait a year, they do it over Labor Day weekend, I think that they could sell at Madison Square Garden as well. So I think they could do that. AAA, no, they're not even on television in this market. And while you can get them on Twitch, how many people in the United States truly watch that? I don't get any feedback on AAA. I mean, nobody talks about it to me, so I don't feel it at all. You can say that there's a lot of Hispanics in New York, and there are, but that doesn't. I don't know. I don't think it makes sense. But whatever. They may not. I don't believe it until it happens. Because I mean, God knows how many times I've been told about AAA coming and doing shows in different markets. Every single year I would hear something, and every single year it never happens. So it's kind of like I consider AAA running in the United States like a Terry Funk retirement. It's like, yeah, he tells me it all the time, and he's never going to do it. So, although Terry Funk actually may really be retired now. Actually, I kind of think he is, but that still doesn't mean AAA is running Madison Square Garden.
And we got Dominion coming up on, what is it, Friday night, late Friday night?
Friday at midnight our time, Friday 3 a.m., Friday night, Saturday morning, 3 a.m. Eastern. Yeah, you know what? After how good that December 3rd show, June 3rd, the June 3rd show at Corrigan Hall was, and that's just a Corrigan Hall show, and the lineup is nothing compared to this one. It's like, the show could be incredible. Hiromu Takahashi and Will Ospreay on the second biggest show of the year. I fear for them, but if they survive the match and they don't get hurt while competing in the match, they're going to have like one of the best matches of the year. I'm sure of it, because Hiromu just had one on Monday with Ishimori and Will Ospreay. As great as Ishimori is, and he really is great, Will Ospreay is a level above Ishimori. So they're going to and Hiromu is going to be more motivated on this show than he was at Corrigan Hall, even though I think that's maybe impossible, and maybe he'll be only as motivated. But he should be more motivated, because this is actually the big one. The other one was the prelude to this one. So it's a sick match. It's just a sick match. Omega Okada, look, that's the best in-ring rivalry probably in decades, ever. Who knows? It's one of the greatest of all time. In-ring. And this one, the chips are down on them more than any time. And look, they had pressure on them at the Tokyo Dome. They delivered. They had even more pressure in Osaka to follow up the Tokyo Dome, and they delivered. Then they had to do a match in under 30 minutes after doing a 1-hour match, and they delivered again. So this is 3-fall match, which is very difficult. They're going to be 4 hours into the show before they get out there, and they're probably going to be out there for God knows how long. I don't know. I can't imagine it being less than 40 minutes. It could be as long as 70, 75 minutes. Depending on what they want to prove. And, again, they're two unique individuals who were both on the same wavelength when it comes to wanting to prove something. And they're, arguably the two best wrestlers in the world. Okada is probably the best wrestler in the world. Omega, there may be competition for number 2, but he's in that. If we're going to argue over who's number 2 in the world right now, he's one of the 3 or 4 guys that you would bring up. I suppose you could argue Hiromu from that match that he just had, that Hiromu's better than anyone, but to me, you got to prove it. It's not a one match thing. You got to prove it over time, and until someone overtakes Okada on a regular basis, he is the man right now. And the other thing too is because Okada has done such an incredible job with that championship, that title is the most over title as far as meaningful in wrestling. Because WWE titles change hands and whatever. It's a more famous title, but it doesn't have the importance, I don't think, as far as real whatever. It's like WWE, whoever the champion is, it doesn't really matter. The gates aren't going to change. It's if they can make the worst guy in the company champion, and they did with frickin' Jinder, and business didn't really change much. The matches got worse, but New Japan protects that belt. In the last, 5-6 years, the only guys who have held this belt are AJ Styles, Tanahashi, Okada, and Naito, right? Anyone else has. That's a pretty select club. And AJ and Tanahashi and Okada are three all-time greats, three of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And Naito, when all is said and done, is, I don't know if he's going to be an all-time great, but he's going to be a Hall of Famer for sure. I think for sure, when all is said and done, he will be. And Kenny, I don't know what the plan is. Going international, as great as Okada is, if you're really looking to go international, Kenny's the guy. And it's probably the time. I don't know that it's going to happen. I thought that, I didn't expect him to win at Dominion. I did expect him to win at in the G1 tournament just because he hadn't yet, and it just made sense. This one, they're 1-1-1, so anything can happen, and they can't do a draw because there's no time limit, and they're not going to do a double DQ because this isn't WWE. So, that's all. After the thing is, they got to get through those two falls, and because up until the third fall, it doesn't count. That's why 2 out of 3 fall matches this day and age, I don't like them. When I see them in CMLL, I just think that those extra falls are just waste of your time. They're just a throwback to another era where people believed in it more, and they bought like near falls more. And now it's like, until you get to that third fall, it doesn't count. And that's a very difficult thing that they're going to have to deal with. Plus, I know they're going to do a long match. Having said all that, it sounds like, oh my God, they've got all this. I'm pretty damn confident that they're going to have one of the best matches of the year. And if it's not, it's going to be a disappointment. And then the match we haven't even talked about is freaking Jericho and Naito. And, Jericho had a great match at the Tokyo Dome. Naito's one of the best wrestlers in the world. So we got that. Then we got Young Bucks against Sonata and Evil, which is an interesting test. I really like to see, Evil's pretty solid, and Sonata's pretty great. And I really kind of get a kick out of the idea of Sonata against Nick Jackson, especially, but both Young Bucks. I think that it's going to be interesting how that all works out. And traditional booking wise, for Japan, I would say that Sonata and Evil should win. But and make the Young Bucks chase and not win it right away. Have them, lose a few in their start as in the heavyweight division, and then finally overcome. But it's different, It's again, if you want to get those titles over in North America, and you want to get that stuff over in North America right now, or the UK, putting those belts on Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks is the answer. Now, again, their home market is Japan. What is their priority? That's what makes, to me, the booking of this show so intriguing, because there's the right booking for Japan, which I understand, but the right booking for Japan is not the right booking for the world, and there are stages of the world. It's not just Japan. So it's a very interesting card there. And then, the undercard, the undercard will probably be there to build up a lot of other stuff. Goto, Elgin, and Taichi. I hope that they, Taichi does whatever Carmella does, or not. Lana does in the ladder match, and it's just Goto against Elgin for most of the way, and maybe Taichi sneaks in. He might sneak in and win the championship because he could get good heat doing that. He actually is that kind of a character. Tanahashi and Liger and Ray in the 6-man against Cody, Adam Page, and Marty Scurll. I think you go with the legends in that one. That kind of legends 3-way, you just kind of do that. And so, Page could lose. Cody won't lose. Page could lose. Marty could lose, possibly. But they'll have the idea of that's just to basically be a fun match and let Ray shine. Ray's never been on a big New Japan show like this. Liger will come in, do his spots. He's always good. The match will be really over. And the show will be really over. That's the thing. There's like a tag where, Ishii and Suzuki are on opposite sides. So that's going to be fun. There's going to be another tag where Jay White and Juice Robinson are even opposite sides, and they're building those two for a singles match, which may be at the Cow Palace. I don't know that it is, but it may be.